Hi there. Thanks for joining me. I'm Randy Cross, and this is the Randy Cross Podcast. A little bit of an abbreviated subject matter today. We're going to have David Pollack from ESPN's Game Day show on with us. He's, besides being a friend, he's just a fantastic TV personality, brings a lot of great stuff to the table, and I think you'll really enjoy talking to him. No Randy Eats today, and a lot of sports, lots and lots of sports. So, as promised, let's get right away to David Pollack. Now, as promised, joined by David Pollack, former Georgia Bulldog All-American, currently one of the co-hosts on ESPN's Game Day, so comes into your living room every Saturday morning. David, welcome.
Appreciate it, Chris Cross. What's going on, my man?
Not much. We're all pretty blessed, well, just in general, but also for football fans that we actually have, especially college football, to keep us occupied these last 6-7 weeks, aren't we?
You ain't lying. Well, I mean, you got the NFL too, if that's your cup of tea, but that's fun now. I mean, following your team and some fans being able to get in there now, it's kind of fun because a lot of people thought it wouldn't happen. So I definitely think it's pretty enjoyable.
Yeah. What kind of a scene are you anticipating this weekend as we kind of keep rolling out? Do you think, we're hardly going to get the Dan Mullen 90,000 in the swamp, okay? But, yeah. You know, we will see more student sections come back. I did the Navy game Saturday night, and they had all the entire brigade was sprinkled out throughout the lower bowl. And it isn't much, like 4,400, but man, it seemed like 40,000 in that place after not having anybody in stadiums.
Isn't that crazy? I think we're going to appreciate crowds more than ever. I think players are going to appreciate the crowds more than ever. But yeah, it's nuts. I mean, watching the A&M game and hearing Mullen talk about them, and you're just seeing them going nuts and going crazy. If I was running a program, I'd be selective. I'd be like, who's the craziest fans we got so we can bring in the loudest amount of noise possible. I do think you'll continue to. I think there's also been a number of probably a number of people that have gotten in the stadium, maybe over that number that was a little bit more. But I'm for it, man. Listen, it's. I know it's a pandemic and all that stuff that's going on, but it's also personal choices that we're not going to stop people from making. So, you know, come, be as safe as possible, and if it's something you want to partake in, man, I'm all for people coming and enjoying it and soaking it in. And if that's what makes them happy, then I'm all for them being there. Yeah,
when in doubt, in my opinion, David, and this is just me, I will resort to, hey, let's check what our real rights are. If I got a right to do something, I'm an adult, I'll take care of myself, and if that doesn't work out, that's on me.
Yep, your personal responsibility for sure.
Yep. Hey, your Bulldogs, off to a great start, did a nice job after, well, not a slow start, but, you know, Stetson Bennett and the crew really came through. That defense is playing amazing, and they got a big one this week at Bama where they haven't had much success.
Yeah, it's a dirty defense. I mean, this defense is deep. They play so many people along the defensive line. It's nuts, man. It's kind of like, who's next? You know, who's the next guy that comes in? And they play, 15 people up front, for God's sakes, and just keep rotating and keep everybody fresh. And by the way, there's not much drop off from any of them. I think if you're looking at Georgia and you're saying their defense was good a year ago, this defense is better. And the reason it's better is because they have a legit guy that's going to get 10 plus sacks in Adam Anderson. Mm-hmm. I think they have a legit corner, like a number one corner for the first time in several years with Tyson Campbell. And the depth is silly. The experience is silly. So I think Georgia's defense is in a good spot. Listen, Stetson Bennett is money on third downs. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country on third downs. And we've seen it we saw it last week more than we saw it the first 2 weeks, but he's a really good athlete, Randy. Like, mm-hmm. He's a high 4.5, low 4.6 kind of athlete. So he's got some wiggle. They'll run the QB run game a little bit. And if you watched Bama last week, you're probably going to go, please, Stetson Bennett, run a little bit more, So I think that when you look at this matchup, Georgia's been really good in the first halves against Alabama several times, and they've come back to lose. So I think, Georgia, this is a kind of a where you at Georgia kind of game for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you 100%. I think the defense can only do so much. That offense is going to have to come to the table because I don't anticipate an Ole Miss Alabama kind of game, 63-56. But any way you look at, they're going to score some points. And that's something the SEC is going through right now in general. I mean, heck, college football is, but especially the place where everyone always associates great defense with, we're seeing points like crazy.
Well, and if you look at the Alabama game, I think everybody's going to go, okay, yeah. Hey, fans are going to be like, well, do what Ole Miss did. You can't just do what Ole Miss does.
Yeah.
Like Ole Miss is that they live tempo. They don't just all of a sudden start. You don't all of a sudden start tempo in a 1 week and being able to play fast. You play fast by practicing playing fast every single day. That's who you are. Ole Miss has a tailback at quarterback that can scramble around and throw, and been working on RPOs and been working on play action pass. And Lane Kiffin's feel for offense is just silly, man. I mean, it's unbelievable. So you can't replicate that, and people won't. But when you do look across the SEC, I mean, LSU's playing horrible defense. Like, if you want to talk about DBU, you got to find a new phrase because that ain't DBU anymore. You look across at Florida. It's the worst Florida defense I've seen in several years. And when it comes to impact players in the front seven, those guys are gone with Grenard, rushing the passer. They got to find a consistent pass rush. They got to find more defensive linemen they can rotate in there and play because right now they don't have a ton. So it's definitely not a year for defense right now. And Randy, I think it's a perfect storm of everything because COVID took away conditioning and reps in the spring. COVID took away workout time and conditioning and building that explosiveness and building that experience from year one to year two. Well, COVID also took away contact when it comes to practice. Yeah. So you can't be a great tackling team if you don't practice tackling. That doesn't work. Those are mutually exclusive. They don't go together. You have to hit each other. You have to bring each other to the ground. So I think you're seeing some of the ramifications of that across college football now. Well,
how much too? There's obviously, you said, a ton of factors, and you're absolutely right. But like I referenced, I did Navy Saturday night, and there were a great example of no blocking, no tackling equal blowout when they played that first game against BYU. I mean, they did nothing before that happened, and they got absolutely humiliated. Last week, Ken Niumatalolo reinitiated in-person meetings for them, where they actually had the players in rooms with the coaches, so they face-to-face, they're being taught things. And I'm not sure how many teams around the country are doing that, but I would think that's a gigantic part of actual learning and transferring things over, is learning it not on a TV screen, but learning it in person.
There ain't no doubt. I mean, you can get a lot out of Zoom and you can get a lot out of FaceTime and all that stuff, but man, when you're face to face and your coach is showing you stuff and you have to be dialed in and he's watching you and you're watching him and you can read body language and you can feel intensity. It makes a huge difference, man. It's been a hard year for a lot of people and it's been hard learning. And I think you're definitely seeing the shift now more towards more form of normalcy because, listen, if you want to talk about numbers and all the kids that are to my knowledge, with all the college kids so far that have been tested and all, I don't know that we've had very many hospitalizations. They've been fine and they've been good. So, I think everybody continuing to test all the time, be preventative as much as possible, and then continue to spend more time together because if you can practice and play games, I imagine you can be in meetings together.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's been crazy, and like we've all been told, hang loose and adjust. So we're going to have to hang loose and adjust. What are some of the highlight games besides the obvious ones like a Georgia, Alabama, and whatnot to you this week?
Well, I think Florida LSU was one that stood out right away that we thought had an opportunity to be super special, and then both of them lost last week, and that kind of took the edge off of that. But I still think Florida has a chance to win the SEC East. I think Florida has a chance to be in the college football playoff picture. They've got to get better throughout the year with their defense and continue to improve. But their offense, my God, they're going to score with a lot of people. I mean, they're going to put up a ton of points, and they're going to be interesting to watch. But when you look at Kentucky, Tennessee, I'm interested to see Tennessee bounce back. Because I think Tennessee's pretty good. Now they're not close to Georgia yet, but they're pretty daggum good. So I think it'll be fun to watch that. But Oklahoma State, continue to watch them. That game got postponed, which sucks because Oklahoma State and Baylor I think would have been a fun one to watch. But this week of slate isn't the best. Louisville, Notre Dame, by the way, I think play this week too, which will be good. Louisville's struggling like crazy. Surprised how much they're struggling, but Notre Dame, they started off the season and had another 3 weeks and for COVID and 3 week break, and then started back up, kind of catchy against Florida State in the beginning, then got it back together. So is Notre Dame or Virginia Tech, Boston College too? Are those going to be teams that challenge Clemson in the ACC? Miami stood up and Clemson said, "Hey man, shut up and sit down. Like you ain't ready for this, bro." I think it'll be interesting to watch the ACC and those guys.
Now, not always a favorite team of a Georgia Bulldog, but the Georgia Tech football team under Jeff Collins looks to be one of those that you better keep your eye on going down the road. Now, this week against Clemson, that might be a little bit too tall an ask, though it is at Georgia Tech. But
you can close your eyes this week.
How about this week? How about what Dabo's got going on offensively? I mean, it shouldn't surprise us really, but in a year of kind of like they did what? Lawrence, Etienne, the rest of them, that offense is just sizzling.
Oh, four new offensive linemen coming in. I mean, it should struggle up front, right? Nah, we're good. A ton to replace on defense. Nah, we're good. And listen, Dabo got, he made a great hire when he brought Brent Venables in, and it's paid dividends throughout his career now. And now the way they recruit, and he got fortunate because most guys like that don't stick around, and he stuck around and, had a chance to kind of get head coaching jobs, but just didn't really get any big ones. And, Brent stuck around, and now his kids are at school at Clemson. And so I don't think he's going anywhere anyway. So he's got, one of the best defensive minds in all of college football offensively. They keep getting elite quarterbacks. And so, yeah, it's just, Clemson is, yeah. But Jeff Collins, I do think, I've seen Jeff Sims, and I think Jeff Sims has some Robert Griffin III in him. You watch him, he's a true freshman quarterback that's learning on the fly, but he's leading the team in rushing, leading the team in passing, but you can tell he's making some mistakes and turning the football over, but you can tell when he gets it, man, he could be super, super special with his ability to run and throw, quick release. The way they compete, Jeff Collins teams are always going to compete. So I think it'll take time. And listen, it's hard with Georgia going, and it's hard with Clemson and all these teams that are Bama and Auburn, all these teams that are around you that are stealing recruits out of Atlanta every single year. It's a tough job to steal those away from and throw Clemson in there and all the other teams come and pillage Georgia.
Yeah. Hey, where are you on? And it'll be a moot point here pretty quick because they'll all be getting going. But when you look at the AP and the top 25, we've got a pretty good handful of teams that haven't even played football yet. I mean, I don't mind it in the preseason, but this is week 7. And teams haven't played yet, and they're being ranked. I'm not a big fan of that. Where are you at it?
Well, first of all, it's just crazy. You just said we're in week 7.
I know.
And two conferences haven't played. Like, that's nuts to me. It's dumb. We should rank on the field for what we've seen. Like there's nothing else we have seen. And listen, I know Ohio State quickly is going to jump right up in the top, by the way, and they're going to be, they're really talented and they're going to be a really good football team. That doesn't mean they've done anything right now to earn a spot in the top 5, but they will soon. So I just think that it's a weird year. It's strange that we have to do stuff like this. It's strange that the Big Ten's started the season up soon, and the Pac-12's just started practice, for God's sakes.
Hey, how would you like to be one of the guys at that table for the College Football Playoff Committee when you've got teams that have played 12, you've got teams that have played 10, and you got teams that are going to play 6 or 7, and you're supposed to figure out a way to rank them and rate them equally?
Yeah, so if I'm college football in a year of everything that's been so crazy, this is what I've said for weeks, and I'm going to continue to say, is expand the stupid thing. Make it bigger. This year is the perfect year with not – what's the excuses we get, Randy?
Yeah.
Oh, the body can only take so many hits. Okay, they're not taking as many hits this year. Mm-hmm. Most of them didn't do spring ball. Most of them didn't do any form of a camp like normal. And all of them aren't playing 15 games or 13 games in a regular season. So expand the daggum thing, make it easier on everybody. Probably makes a chance for us to include the Pac-12. It makes a chance to put more teams in and know you get it right in the end because you got more options. But I think it's going to be a tough job, a hard job. But, here's the thing. It's going to go back to what it normally is. You watch the tape and you go, dang, Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, those teams are more talented than everybody else. I watch them and I know how good they are. And you just kind of fall in love with those brands. And by the way, they're not wrong. If you want to go by it, those are the most talented teams in the country. But the most talented teams in the country don't always win. And, this would be the perfect year to expand it with all the craziness.
Yeah, there's a couple things that's lurking out there. Besides that, the definitive date of when the rankings start and when they're supposed to finish. Has anybody talked about a bowl game lately? Outside of the fact that we're going to play two, maybe in your case, we're just talking about proposing expanding. Maybe there's 4 bowl games, but we have 40-something bowl games. What are they going to do with all these?
Everybody gets to go, by the way. So if you win 2 games,
don't get me started on that.
Randy, that's your generation. Everybody gets a trophy in your generation.
Oh yeah. I think you got it backwards there, millennial.
Everybody gets a trophy. No, I think because of you're only playing 10 games, you're only playing 7 games. It's hard to justify now. I can't make you get to 6 games, right? Like you only play 10 games. So I think it's tough to figure that out, but they'll have everybody and they'll pick and choose, and it's going to be strange.
It's going to be. I can't wait to see what they finally announce about it. It'll be fun to see. Hey, David, really appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much. I know you got a crazy schedule. Y'all do such a fantastic job on that show Saturday mornings. It's must-see TV for everybody football related, that's for sure.
Appreciate you, Chris Cross, man. Always good to talk to you, buddy.
All right. Hey, by the way, real quick, Braves or Dodgers in the NLCS?
I don't know anything about baseball whatsoever, so Braves.
Thank you,
Why
David.
not, baby?
Appreciate it, man. Bye-bye. All right, thanks to David. It's great to see him in a format where he gets to talk uninterrupted. It's fantastic. You got to share time on a big show like that, but he knows his stuff, and he is a great guy, a fantastic father, and one of the best players to ever play for the University of Georgia. Let's now go to the world of sports. All right, in the world of sports, we're going to go right at here and start with college football, and we've got lots of college football. First scorer, Clemson, number 1 team in the country, was close for, about 5 minutes. Clemson just outclassed Miami. It was at Clemson. Miami's just not ready for this kind of a stage yet, obviously, and Clemson is that much better. Alabama gave hope to a lot of teams in the SEC that they can be beaten with the amount of points that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss put on them. But they put up 63, so that shouldn't give you too much of a warm and fuzzy feeling. The University of Georgia played Tennessee. Tennessee is a team that's probably a little bit better than they showed in this game, as we talked with David Pollack about. But Georgia is legit, especially that defense. Next up is the Florida Gators, who went down to Texas A&M. Really too bad. That Tennessee Florida game would have been something, but Florida, no surprise, Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts did a good job, but Jimbo Fisher's A&M football team put up a great effort. Notre Dame had no problems with Florida State, as expected. Going to have to wait until that Clemson game coming up here in a couple weeks. North Carolina moving up into the top 10. In this week's top 10, they're number 5. And they beat Virginia Tech in a high-scoring contest. Anytime you score 101 points, it's pretty crazy. But here in 2020, I guess you can say COVID and crazy in college football. Auburn eked one out against Arkansas. Auburn had no business winning this game. That was a fumble of the snap. That wasn't it, though. That was an illegal forward pass, by the way, but it was also a fumble before the illegal forward pass, and Auburn held on to win. Missouri beats LSU, so the national champion now has a couple of losses. Just seems strange, but LSU's flat out just not the same team, and you can't blame Miles Brennan, who's playing pretty doggone well. That offense is doing all right. And when you lose 45-41, I believe you can look at the defense. Kind of like Texas. They came into this game 22nd in the country, the Red River rivalry. Say that fast about 5 times. But Oklahoma came out on top 53-45. Are you give me a break? We saw 101 points. Now we see 98 points. Now, here's a regular old score, 31-15. Iowa State, Matt Campbell and company do a really nice job against Texas Tech. Keep an eye on Iowa State. I know they lost to Louisiana in the opener, but they're starting to pick it up. And the last score is a little gratuitous because I was there, but it was also one hell of a football game. Navy beats out Temple 31-29, stops a 2-point conversion right at the end, gets the onside kick. Navy wins that game. If you didn't see it, go back and see if you can find it. That was a heck of a football game. Now, also in the world of sports, we have a new Stanley Cup champion since the last time we met, and they get to hoist the oldest trophy in the world of sports. Also the oldest drinking glass or shot glass in the world of sports, because everybody gets to take it home for a day or so, and everybody on that Tampa Bay Lightning team will get a chance to do that. Tampa Bay, congratulations, Tampa fans. Great job. 2 Stanley Cup champions now in the last, 5, 6, 10 years? I mean, it's pretty special. Now we'll go to the NBA really, really quick. I've told you before, I was born in New York, Brooklyn specifically, grew up in LA. I've been a Laker fan since Jerry West and Elgin Baylor and all those days. Lakers win a championship. That's what I respect, period. Lakers win. All right, now, Major League Baseball. Got to get this in. We're down to I hate the abbreviations, the ALCS and the NLCS. It's championship time. So the National League Championship Series is going to be the Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves. And of course, they won't be playing anywhere near any one of those 2 cities. That's okay. And the Rays are going to be playing the Houston Astros. Hey, are we seeing a little bit of a golden time in Tampa? Think about it. Are you more excited for that Houston-Tampa game or series, or the Dodgers and the Braves? Me, Dodgers. I bleed Dodger blue. I know I live in the Atlanta area, and that's the only time I don't root for the Braves is when they play the Dodgers. Go Dodgers. All right, that'll do it for the world of sports. Time now for our feel-good story of the week.
This is the good news. This is the good news.
I want to introduce you to Annabelle and Lauren. And Annabelle is on the right, Lauren is on the left. And Annabelle was a dog that needed a home. You'll see she was emaciated, she'd been abused. And Lauren opened her home and her heart and took in Annabelle. If I did this, I'll be honest, I'd own 100 dogs, because how you can nurse them and rehabilitate them and bring them back to health and let them go, I can't understand. I don't want to bury the lead here, but I think Lauren had a hard time with that. Check this out.
The little thing scared her. I know. She didn't like want to at all.
Come here.
When they found her, she was literally just roaming by herself. There's indications that she had been in several dog fights. Her tail didn't even wag. She was super underweight. She didn't move. She didn't really want to do anything. She had no reaction to anything, so it was really sad. She would let you pet her, but she didn't really care for it. She would sit there and she was just more comfortable in her own space. She wouldn't even go upstairs, so she slept on the floor. And finally, she started warming up and come up to. It was like 5 a.m. She actually jumped up. She has a big personality. She's goofy. She's very goofy.
She looks so crazy right now.
But she's also super loving and just a sweetheart. A college student. So I was like, oh, I'll just foster a dog. Then 2 days before bringing her back to adopt it, I was like, this doesn't feel okay. But I ended up flying out super early in the morning to Alabama to see my boyfriend the day I dropped her off. So I remember dropping her off and I was crying. So I called my sister and I was like, I need to do the biggest favor that I'm ever gonna ask you to do in my life. And she was like, you need me to go get the dog. And I was like, yes.
You're home forever.
We do everything together. I don't know what I would do without her now. She's got me out of the house more, made my life better. It's just a reminder to enjoy life.
Oh, that is just the perfect shot there of Annabelle. And thank you to the Dodo, as usual, for coming up with these magical kind of situations and bringing them to our attention. Thank you to Annabelle right there, and thank you to Lauren. Let's be honest, we should all aspire to be as pure-hearted as Annabelle. All right, just want to thank you for joining me. I want to remind you kind of how you find this podcast. It's pretty simple. Go to randycross.com. You can go to Twitter. You can go to Facebook. You can go to barnburner.ca. You can go to gruelingtruth.com. Go to all the normal platforms, and this podcast is available. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spreading this. If you watch it once, forward it twice. That should be our new motto. And as we've done here for the last, month or so, let's check out those PPE fails.